I don't know how long I was sick. Apparently, it started from an upper respiratory infection. And even before that, my grandmother said it started with strep throat. And it led to kidney failure. I ended up in Texas Children's Hospital in Houston for a couple months. And, um, I found out a lot of facts later as I got older and I did my own research. But dialysis was not invented until
Mm.
1970, and it was just an arbitrary form.
Oh, wow.
So at the time that I had what I had, which was hemolytic uremic syndrome, it was a death sentence. And
Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Yes, y'all already know what time it is. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Whenever you are listening to this episode, I just want to come by and say hello and welcome to Stories of Hope podcast. Now, I know I said it, Happy Tuesday, and for a lot of y'all, it's Taco Tuesday. Ooh, ooh. That's my favorite part, I swear. But for us here at Miss South Transplant Foundation, we call it Tell Your Story Tuesdays. All right. So before we get started, I would like to introduce myself. So if this is your first time tuning in, welcome, welcome. I'm happy to have you with us on today. And hello, my name is ARTavius VZ, and I am your host and the digital communications coordinator here at Miss South Transplant Foundation. Now, as a couple fun facts about me, I am a 16-year post-kidney transplant recipient, and I am the author of Becoming a Living Testimony, my journey through kidney disease and how it blessed my life. Okay? So for us here at Stories of Hope podcast, I interview and share personal stories of patients, recipients, and donor families with the goal of giving hope, spreading awareness, and encouraging others to becoming a registered donor. All right. So, are you ready for today's episode? When I tell you, I'm super excited because we have another kidney transplant recipient in the house, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear her story. So, without any further ado, please help me welcome Miss Brenda Lutz.
hey,
Hello, Miss Brenda. How you
hello.
doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks
Great.
for having me.
Thank you for being
Thank you.
here. Yes, it's finally
It's a
I'm happy to
pleasure.
have you. So
Thank you so
before
much.
we get into your story, if you can do
Yes.
me a favor and introduce yourself or tell us a little bit about yourself for those who may not know you.
Okay. As you said, my name is Brenda Lutz, and I am single. I live in Southwest Texas. I have two grown daughters who are in their 20s. Um, I'm pretty boring. I work as a secretary.
I wouldn't say you're
I
boring.
live a calm life. I live alone with my dog. It's pretty simple. I love my church family and
Mhm.
love my transplant family, and you
I have to
know,
say that for some people that's luxury.
life is good. Life is good.
Yes, good. So, well, here we are. As I say, you have the floor. Tell
All
us your
right.
story.
Well, uh, I was sick in 1966, which is the year I was born. I was 10 months old and had I don't know how long I was sick. Apparently, it started from an upper respiratory infection. And even before that, my grandmother said it started with strep throat. And it led to kidney failure. I ended up in Texas Children's Hospital in Houston for a couple months. And, um, I found out a lot of facts later as I got older and I did my own research. But dialysis was not invented until
Mm.
1970, and it was just an arbitrary form.
Oh, wow.
So at the time that I had what I had, which was hemolytic uremic syndrome, it was a death sentence,
Okay.
and there was no explanation. how I managed to pull through. Really, no doctor could explain it. So I plugged along. My dad said I took medicine until I was about 7, and then they experimented with it, took me off of it because really the only thing I had was high blood pressure.
Okay.
And after they took me off of it, I had headaches and nosebleeds. But in those days, people didn't go for wellness checks and things like that, and nobody took blood pressure on kids. I mean, that just wasn't a thing.
Wow.
And I was a healthy kid overall. I didn't get sick. I had a lot of injuries.
Mhm.
I had fractures and, roughed myself up quite a bit. I was a tomboy.
Mhm.
And then at age 12, after making the volleyball team and going for a physical, they rediscovered my high blood pressure and it was beyond stroke level. So I was promptly admitted to the hospital,
Wow.
and they immediately took me off of all strenuous activity, no sports, no fun, basically, as a 12-year-old,
Right.
you know, no life, you
Take
know.
away all the good stuff.
That's right. No good foods, no salt, no cholesterol, no preservatives, all the things that a kid loves, you
Right.
know, no more pickles, no more potato chips, all that good stuff, right?
All that just might as well eat the box.
That's right. That's what we all do. That's right. So, they managed to control my blood pressure and I did well for a long time, years, and through some research, as I got older, I had to wait about a 10-year period, but through
Mm,
research with my nephrologist and with my gynecologist, I was able to safely have children through lots of research. Like I said,
mm.
10 years of research.
Wow.
Because the initial thought was the disease I had is common in pregnant women, so let's not take a chance because we don't know enough about it because nobody survived at the time you had it, so we
Mhm.
don't know. So here's what we think, but we don't know. So medicine's progressing. Let's just go do something else, go adopt, go foster, go do something else, and you can add one later.
Well, okay.
I said, okay, all right. So, through continued, just research, questioning, I contacted my nephrologist who treated me when I was 10 months old. So he chimed in, he gave us his opinion. I was working in the Department of Pediatrics at the UT Health Science Center in San Antonio, which is a medical school. So I had
Mhm.
every pediatric specialist at my fingertips.
Right.
And then I was grabbing everyone. What do you know about this? What do you know about that?
Tell me something.
Tell me, I need all the information you got. So like I said, we ended up with a green light to safely have children, and then I was able to take medicine that safely, didn't harm the fetus and
Okay.
controlled my blood pressure at the same time.
Okay.
And remarkably, my children were born a little bit early, little bit,
Okay.
just
A bit.
3 weeks
Right.
and 5 weeks early, a little bit,
Mhm.
but they're fine. They're fine. Both of them just flourished. The younger one became salutatorian. I mean, everything was
All
great.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So no problems. And then about hmm, maybe 6 years ago, something like that,
Mhm.
my nephrologist said that it was time to start thinking about transplant. I said, really?
Mm.
He said, yeah. He said, your GFR is dropping, which measures the kidney function,
Yeah. Mhm.
and and uh, and your creatinine's going up, and your BUN's going up, and hmm. So and I guess the progress is so slow.
Mhm.
I guess you just kind of gradually decline, if
Yeah.
that's the right word, that I
Okay.
just didn't really notice, and I was continuing in my daily life. And ultimately, my nephrologist was trying to keep me off dialysis. He wanted me to go straight to transplant. I
Okay.
was put on the transplant list in, I believe it was 2017, and I had some um, oh, what's the word? Stipulation. I had some
Okay.
stipulation. And I had to get some testing. I had to have a gynecological exam,
Okay.
colonoscopy, psychiatric, all the,
Right.
check
All
off
the
all
tests.
the,
Yeah. Hmm.
the mammogram, all the clearance, all that, right? So, so by the time I got all that done and was like fully cleared, I think it was 2019.
Okay.
Well, then my oldest daughter decided she wanted to be my donor,
Mm.
and she went in for testing. She was a complete match, and then she had other steps that she had to go through, also other
Right.
testing and whatnot.
Right.
And
Make sure
then
she was good.
she she was involved in just a lot of stuff in her life. She was working several jobs. She was in her last semester of college, and she just got really overwhelmed, and she says, Mom, I'm just not sure I can do this. I said, honey, it's fine. You have to be okay with this. It's not
Yeah.
up to me, it's up to you.
Right.
So she pulled herself off the donor list. And my second daughter jumped up like that, and within 2 weeks she was cleared to be
Mm.
my donor.
Okay, God.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And prior to that, my nephrologist said it's probably going to take more than a couple weeks to get her cleared. So let's go ahead and start you on dialysis.
Okay.
And then lo and behold, it took her literally 2 weeks to get cleared. But I had already started. And then that daughter was also in college, and she said, can we wait until May when the semester's over
Hmm.
to do the transplant? I said, absolutely, sure. You know. And so I started dialysis in 2019, December of 2019. Well, between December of 2019 and May of 2020, voila, we had COVID.
Right.
That just put the quietus on everything. So
Just
I
COVID
couldn't
messed up everything.
everything. I could not finish my testing because my testing was considered non-essential,
Mm.
even though a transplant is considered life, essential,
Hmm.
but my testing was not considered essential. Okay. It didn't matter what it was for, it was screening.
Hmm.
So that's why they said it's a non essential test. So I had to wait. I only had to wait a few months, thankfully. I only had to wait till like July, like the end of
Okay.
June, something like that.
Okay. So not too
So
far.
that
Okay.
wasn't, yeah, that wasn't too bad. So, uh, so then I had some other stuff going on, uh, some other health issues that I had to have an excisional biopsy to get that out of the way because they said
Okay.
we don't want that growing after your immune system is compromised. So let's get it out. So I had that done in July, and then 3 weeks later in August, I had my transplant from my second daughter. And
Nice.
that was a year ago in August.
All
So
right. You have passed the 1 year mark.
here I am.
Congratulations.
Yay!
I just love that. And one thing I didn't hear you say, did um with you having kidney disease, did you pass any of that to your children
No,
that
it
you know?
wasn't hereditary. It's not
Okay.
hereditary. It
Okay,
was
great.
caused from that either strep throat or that upper
Hmm.
respiratory condition that I
Okay.
had. It was an
Okay.
infection, and it just consumed my body.
Wow.
So, and it
Okay.
triggered the kidney failure, which triggered heart failure, which probably would have triggered other organ failure,
Yeah.
they were able to stop that much.
Right.
I even had an enlarged heart for a little while, a few years, and
Mm,
I do have some scarring in one kidney, which was enough to cause the high blood pressure.
okay. Yeah,
So,
because I know the reason I asked was because for my case, me and my mom are the only two in the family who have kidney disease, and it was hereditary from her. So
yeah.
even I'm the oldest of six, and
Oh,
I'm the
yeah.
only one who have it. None of my other siblings had it or have it.
Okay.
I was like, well, lucky me.
Oh, you're
I
the only one who God thought could handle it. That's why.
guess so. But we're gonna take a quick break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. So stay tuned. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be here.
I give hope, I give life, I give me. Join us and give life.
4 years ago, someone gave me hope and gave me life by giving me a heart.
25 years ago, someone gave me hope and gave me life. I received a liver that saved my life.
I support organ and tissue donation because 4,000 people in the Mid-South need a life-saving organ.
I can give them hope. I can give them life. I can give me.
You can give life too.
Currently, 4,000 Mid-Southerners are in need of a life-saving transplant. Join Mid-South Transplant Foundation and give hope, give life.
Register to become an organ and tissue donor at midsouth-transplant.org.
All right. And we're back here with Miss Brenda Lutz. Thank you so much. She just shared her amazing story.
Yeah.
And now it's been a whole year. I got to ask, now that you've had your transplant, what are you able to do now that you couldn't do before?
Well, my first thought is I can eat. I don't have any
Right.
restrictions.
No more eating boxes and crazy potassium diets.
No
and,
potassium restrictions, no sodium restrictions, no phosphorus restrictions.
Exactly.
Like on dialysis, yeah. No fluid restrictions, yeah.
Yes. What was the first thing you ate after you got the transplant?
Oh. That's a good question. I don't even remember. It was a hospital meal.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I can't even. Oh my
for
God.
for me, I had ice cream and cookies.
Ooh.
When I tell you, I was waiting on that thing. I was once they was like, okay, you had the transplant. Okay, now I need them cookies and I need them at the ice cream. Like today, right now, go get it. But you know what was so crazy? After you get your transplant, they have you walk around to, get used to the kidney and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
They, after a couple times walking around, the little floor, they built trust in me and let me, just walk. I'm like, okay. I escaped and went down to the cafeteria.
Ooh.
Mind you, I got on my gown and everything, got the pole with me. They have my fluids. So imagine a little black boy in the cafeteria of the hospital in his full gown, IV in my arm or my hand, I think it was in, and in line. Ain't got no money, just in line. I want these cookies. They had to come and find me. And I heard it over the intercom. I was like, ooh, they looking for me. Like, they weren't going to come looking for me. You just had a transplant about a couple of days ago and you went missing. But that first meal was everything. Like, that ice cream was so good.
I bet.
And I could have watermelon again because, it was so on dialysis, you have a fluid, restriction. Like, you can't have so much fluids. And there was one time I had a watermelon and it blew me up like a blowfish in the face.
Oh,
Scared the mess out of me the next morning when I woke up. I was like, oh, I'm getting fat. What happened? So, but it wasn't nowhere but my face, and I was like, something is going on.
Oh no.
But it was crazy.
Yeah. I think if I remember right, I want to say the first meal they brought me was like something Italian, but I don't
Okay.
remember having a big appetite at first. Like I
Mhm.
didn't crave anything.
Really?
So yeah, I don't know why. I just I
Yeah,
don't remember.
I don't think I was craving either. I think I just had my mind set on those things that I couldn't eat. Because, for me, when you tell me what I can't eat, okay, so when I get this, I can eat that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
So I had
wanted
my
it more.
cookies.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I
When
wanted
you
my
couldn't have it.
cookies. I wanted my ice cream. I wanted my pizza. I wanted my sodas.
Yeah.
All of that. So
Right.
that week I was in the hospital, or I think it was like 2 weeks I was in the hospital after transplant, and I just wanted everything. I had people coming up bringing me food and everything,
Wow.
candy. It was, yeah.
Now they kicked me out. Like I had my surgery on Friday,
Mhm.
and by what day was it? Monday, they were ready to send me home.
Oh, well, I guess it's different from, because I was in a children's hospital, so it
Yeah.
might have been different for adults and children.
And it was 16 years ago, so it was probably different because the times have changed
Yeah,
since
right,
then. Yeah.
right.
So, but yeah, I mean, they ended up keeping me till Tuesday because I didn't have a ride home, but they
Right.
said, we can't keep you any longer.
Right, like you gotta go today.
You gotta go.
Call somebody to come get you. Now we don't want to be mean and just leave you outside, but
That's
you gotta
right.
go.
Well, other than some pain, I had a really good recovery. I had pain
That's
for a while,
great.
but I had a really good recovery, and
That's
and
good.
my energy has it took a while, but my
Mhm.
energy has come back. Now my
Right.
stamina is not fully back.
Mhm.
I'm still working on that.
Right.
My endurance and my stamina, I still don't have
Mhm.
that fully. But
Right.
people have told me that it takes them about 2 years to fully get back to
Uh-huh.
where they were.
Yeah, because that first year is very crucial, because you're of course you're constantly going to the clinic and make sure
Yes.
everything is still good. But I would say probably after that third year for me, that's when everything was kind of like chillaxed and
Yeah.
you was a smooth sailing then.
Yeah.
But now that you've got to the 1 year, I would say what have you learned so far on your journey? Just 1 year. So what have you learned so far?
It's just, well, I mean, health wise, it was, I've always called myself a professional patient because I've been a patient since I was 10 months old, you
Right.
know, in one way, shape, or form,
Right.
and um, it was just such, uh, I don't know, it was just such a smooth
Smooth
experience
sail.
for me,
Yeah. And that's good.
and it was and I had such support from my church family, and my daughter was so calm, and
Hmm.
up until the last minute, and I even told her, I said, if you have the slightest hesitation, you don't have to do this. She's like,
Right.
Mom, I'm good, I'm ready.
Right.
you
That's
know
good. That's
I know. I
good.
mean,
How was your daughter doing now? Has
great.
she had any complications or
She
anything?
had she has this deal where, like, if she bends over or squats down, when
Hmm.
she comes back up, she gets lightheaded for a
Yep.
minute.
Hmm.
And she requested to see a doctor at the transplant clinic when they
Okay.
called her in for labs. She
Hmm.
told him, she said, I want to see the doctor.
Yeah.
So they set her up with the doctor, and he told her that when they went in to get the kidney, they cut through, or maybe nicked or something, an
Mm.
abdominal nerve,
Okay.
and that it's not uncommon for that to happen,
Right. Because
and
it's
that it
somewhat like my dad as well. Yeah.
it will resolve. He told her it will
Hmm.
resolve. So
Yeah.
he said, don't worry, it's just the nerve, and it will get better.
Yeah, because
So,
with my dad was my donor,
oh
and
wow.
a living donor, and he, when we first had it, he was always calling me, see how I was doing, and he used to always joke with me. He said, "Now, if you don't take care of it, I'm gonna come and get it back." I was like, "How you gonna come get it back?" He said, "Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get it back. So you better
Yeah.
take care of it." But he used to tell me like about the same thing like you said with your daughter. If he bend down or squat over, he gets a little lightheaded, and he said sometimes he have a little pain in the area where they took the kidney from, but over time now we're at 16 years and he's fine. Like he
Yeah.
barely have any complications or any problem,
Yeah.
so he's good. Now you mentioned having a good, support system around you and all of that. I think that is amazing, and that should be a necessity for
Yes.
anyone who either dealing with kidney disease, dialysis, or even as a recipient. I think it's very important for us to have like-minded individuals around us. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is like your tribe. I call them your tribe. People
Right.
who support you and who can be, your emotional support, because you're definitely gonna need that.
Right.
And to just help you through. Because I know for me on dialysis, it was a struggle.
Really.
And luckily, I had my mom who went through dialysis herself. So she was there to coach
Mm.
me through it. And okay, you're going to feel like this. When this is going on, just take a Tylenol or whatever. And you're going to have pain. You're going to feel lightheaded sometimes. You're going to have mood swings. She went through all of that with me, which I'm so grateful for, because
Yeah.
if she wasn't there, it probably would have freaked me out, because I
Yeah.
wouldn't know what to expect. And at that time, I was 13. So it
Right.
was already a lot of stuff going on, and a mixture of puberty with that. Like it was
Oh
just,
yeah.
right, a
Oh
lot. It was a
gosh.
lot going on. But one thing
Thank
I
God.
like to,
Yeah. Thank God
one
you
thing
had
I
her.
definitely, exactly. But one
Yeah.
thing I exactly like to tell people is the importance of sharing your story, because it's very powerful, because all of us have a story. But before I
Right.
get into my opinion on it, what advice would you give, and why do you think it's so important for either patients or recipients to share their story?
Well, I think, the number one is like what your podcast says, is that it gives people hope,
Yeah,
you know, because this this kind of thing can feel very hopeless, especially if they're waiting on a cadaver, especially, and or you get like so many people who try and try and try to be a donor and nothing is
yeah,
working, and
hmm,
it can feel so hopeless, and I would just encourage people to just just know that the I mean, of course I'm Christian, and I would say it's all in God's timing, it's not our
yeah,
timing. But
right,
even for someone who's not a Christian, it's like it will happen.
yeah,
It will happen, and I believe it happens the way it's supposed to happen. You
right,
know, and
hmm,
and yeah, I mean, we as humans can throw monkey wrenches and things, unfortunately we get in our own way. But I would just encourage people to just stay still and you know just believe,
yeah,
you know, because it feels hopeless, but it's not necessarily hopeless. It
yeah.
it will happen.
Yeah.
You
And I
know, I
know I
believe it will.
had, exactly. And I actually had a nurse come to me, and she told me, she said, "ARTavius, look, everybody is not going to get a transplant. And some people, dialysis is their life." And I was like, okay. And that's completely fine. So for those, I don't want people to necessarily get their hopes up as if, okay, I'm going to get a kidney or I'm going to get an organ. That's the goal. But even if you don't, life still goes on. The
Right.
important thing is what you have to plan your life. You
Right.
have to plan it, because if you do not
Right.
plan a life, you will base your life around dialysis, and it won't be too far before it, like you said, it you would get hopeless and you would
Right.
be overwhelmed. And I know for me, I even went into suicide twice. Like it's a
Mm.
very scary situation if you do not have your mind right. And I say, if you can get your mental right, because I believe it's a mental thing. If you can
Sure.
conquer it in the mind, you can
Sure.
conquer it in the physical. So, and that's why it's so important to share your story, no matter what part of your journey you're on. The more you can share it, the more it can reach other people. Like, for instance, me and you both went through dialysis, but
Right.
both of our stories or journeys on dialysis are completely different.
Right.
So a person may not be able to relate to my story, but they can relate to yours. So the
Right.
more variety of stories we have, the better opportunity and chances that people can relate and be able to get that hope and to feel encouraged that, okay, well, Miss Brenda got her transplant and ARTavius got his. Okay. Well, if they didn't, I just love their energy and how positive they are and how much of like go-getters and forward thinkers they
Right.
are when it comes to, living a positive life and being able to be that person to look up to. So I think it's very, very important. But we
You
come
know,
into a close. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
my grandmother would say something all the time that still sticks with me. She would
Mhm.
say, adjust. Like
Exactly.
whatever the situation is, adjust. Because if you
Exactly.
don't adjust, you will be in a
Yeah.
bad place
Yeah.
mentally, and some things are just beyond our control. That's all there is to it, you
That
know?
part. Learning, like you said, learning to be still.
Yeah.
Is learn to be still, and it's definitely easier said than done. Trust me.
I mean,
But-
and the serenity prayer is another good one.
uh-huh.
The
Yes.
wisdom to accept the things we can't change,
Hmm.
the acknowledge that, how is it, the oh, I'm going to mess it up.
It's all good, but this
It's
is the serenity prayer.
acknowledge the things that we can change,
Hmm.
that accept the things we can't change, and the wisdom to know the difference.
There you go. See, it came around, but that's powerful though.
Yeah,
That is powerful.
because we as people, we do try to change things that we are unable to change.
Yeah,
And
because I
we have to adjust to that. We have to
yeah,
accept the things that you cannot change.
right,
You have
and
to
just
accept it.
right, and learn to stop being so hard on yourself.
Yes. It
Stop
doesn't
being
change who
hard on
you are
yourself
as a person. If you
if you
have
let
something
it.
that you can't do anything about, it doesn't change who you are. You just have to maneuver around it and
Right.
adjust yourself, and
Hmm.
and and it'll be fine.
Right.
It may
I
not
tell
be
people,
the best
uh-huh.
that you've ever been, but it'll be fine.
Right.
You
And
know?
when I was younger, I tell people, like they say, about being normal. I don't even know what normal is,
That is
but
a subjective word.
exactly.
That
So
is
I tell
subjective.
people like you can go from A to B to get to your destination. For me, I have to go A, B, C, and then D to get to that destination. But that's all right. The whole point of it, you get to your destination. So no matter what adversity or whatever you may face in your life, don't give up. It may take you longer, but still, remember the end goal is to get to the destination. Whether it take you 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years, get to the destination. And that's
And
all that
just
matters.
don't force anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Accept
just
what is and just work
take
around
it
it.
easy. That's right. Just take it easy. Adjust. Take a deep breath. Just, find somebody who can just like hold your hand, whether it's
Right.
figuratively or literally, you know, and
Mhm.
you'll get there. You'll
Yeah.
get there.
Trust me.
You'll be
It'll
okay.
all work out
It'll
the way
all
it
work
needs to
out
work out.
the way it's supposed to. I agree. Yes,
Exactly. So we're
exactly.
coming to a close,
Okay.
and I hate we got to close because I love talking with you. But before we go, I have a question for that person who is, maybe on the fence of or unsure about becoming a registered organ donor. What would you say to them?
Well, I would I would encourage the person who's on the fence uh, to really um, think about the benefit they would be giving someone in need, and whether they're a living donor or a deceased donor, you know, I believe that we as humans are put on the earth to help each other. And this is a beautiful way to help each other. And, and especially in the end, there's really nothing to be afraid of. No doctor will ever put you at risk if you would like to be a donor. The biggest advice I can give you is ask questions. Always ask questions. If you have the slightest interest in being a donor, living or deceased, ask questions. Call an organization like TAYS or whatever state you're in. These organizations are in every state. So it's so beneficial for these people who are waiting on lists. The body has so many ways to donate. You can donate cells and tissue and bone, eyes, cornea. I mean, there's just skin. There's a million ways you can donate. I knew someone who helped 567 people when he passed away.
Wow.
So, I mean, I just would encourage you to just research and ask some questions, look into it. It shouldn't be a flippant decision.
Yeah.
But it's such a wonderful gift if you can find it in your heart to help someone in need, because this is a genuine need that someone has not done to themselves. It's a condition that they had no control of. It simply happened and they're in need, and the only way it can be resolved or remedied is with a donor.
Yeah.
So like I said, I would just encourage you to research, ask questions, and look into your heart. Yeah. That would be my advice.
All right. And there you have it, guys. That is it for this episode. Thank you so much, Miss Brenda, for coming on and sharing your story. I really,
Thank
really
you for having me.
Yes, I really hope and pray. You are very special. So I really hope and pray that your story reach somebody and hope give a different perspective of what, kidney disease looks like. Yes. So with that being said, if you guys are watching us live on YouTube, don't forget to give us a like or a thumbs up and leave us a comment in the description or in the comment section, letting us know what you think of this episode. What did you take away from it? For those of you who are listening on podcast platforms, be sure you give us a 5-star rating and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to the show so you do not miss an episode every time we drop a new one. And for those who are in the tri-state area and those that is in Tennessee, Arkansas, or Mississippi, you can visit our website at midsouhtransplant.org to sign up to become a registered organ donor. Or if you're in any of the other states, you can go to registerme.org. You can fill out that application and select the state that you're in, and that will get you registered. All right.
Donate life. DonateLife.org. Mm-hmm. DonateLife.org will let you register as well.
Yeah. So all of the information and all the resources, you can check the description below or the show notes. We have links and everything about the show, the organization, about Miss Brenda, and everything. So be sure you check that stuff in the description or the show notes to get all of that good news. And before I leave you, I got to tell you, no matter the circumstances or no matter what other people say about you or the opinions of others, and no matter the adversities you may face in your life, always believe in yourself, because I know I believe in you. So you go out and have a great rest of your week. And I will see y'all on the next episode of Stories of Hope podcast. Y'all take care, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.